We are following severe weather across the country. Thunderstorms could bring hail in the central plains, and heavy rain could cause flash flooding in the southeast. Meanwhile, the western part of the country is facing dangerous wildfire conditions caused by one of the region's worst droughts in recorded history. CBS News weather producer David Parkinson joins me now with more. Hi there, David. So let's start with thunderstorms. Which areas are you watching?
Yeah, so thank goodness the worst of the storms are finally ending. This is the same storm system that brought that EF3 tornado to the suburbs of Chicago Sunday night into Monday. It has rolled through the East Coast. It's been a nasty day throughout the East Coast. And then that cold front goes all the way down to Florida, and so that's where you're also seeing more storms on the panhandle there. In terms of the weather in the Northeast, for the next remaining hours of voting, what they may be for the New York City mayoral election, the rain is now done. So if some people are on the fence, maybe they wanted to get out and vote, they've got some clear skies to do that. Meanwhile, further south, as we go up and over here, you are going to see that we do have several lines that are just starting to push their way down into the Gulf. So this last line's right along I-10 from about Mobile to Pensacola. Once that moves off, that is the end of the rain after a tremendously wet period in the south that began as Claudette made landfall on Saturday.
All right, moving on now to the west. As I mentioned, the National Weather Service has warned of critical fire weather conditions. What does that mean, David, and where is the greatest threat?
Yeah, so what we're dealing with today is record heat, 101-degree heat in Salt Lake City. And so the critical fire danger there is a combination of the wind, so 15 to 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts, the low humidity, the high temperatures, and the drought conditions. Now, as we go through the next several days, we're not looking at windy, dry conditions that are the real concern. We're actually looking at the concern for dry lightning. What that is you get this monsoonal moisture kind of bubbling up from the south. And when that happens, you see these little individual cells coming through. There may not even be rain associated with them, but there's enough cloud-to-ground lightning that it can spark a fire. And because the ground is so dry, and if we take a look at the drought monitor, you can see it's a historic drought that is exceptional in spots, basically throughout Nevada, Utah, Arizona, all of those places. That's where you've got the drought. You combine that now with a ignition source in the form of dry lightning, and that's a real problem.
So in addition to that, the Pacific Northwest is bracing for some record high temperatures. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's return to the heat dome in a very sort of odd spot. Ordinarily, when you have these heat domes, you have all this heat that sort of bubbles up from Mexico. You get it into California, into the Great Basin, and then maybe a little bit of the Pacific Northwest. But take a look at this heat dome as it expands over the next couple of days into the weekend, and you can see actually the hottest colors are over the Pacific Northwest. That's where the strongest high pressure is and where the highest, most record temperatures are going to be. In fact, if we take a look at where the record temperatures are, 107 in Pasco, 107 in Lewiston, 102 in Portland, Oregon. That is exceptionally hot for the City of Roses. And even Seattle, which seldom gets above the 90s, they're going to hit a record high temperature of 95. That is going to be for Saturday. And then those temperatures look like child's play. For Sunday, we're setting probably 3 dozen records throughout the Northwest in Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, also down into parts of California and Nevada, and that continues into Monday and likely Tuesday of next week. So the West Coast bakes again, not quite in the same places that we saw the horrendous heat last week, which was Arizona and portions of the Intermountain West. This is the Pacific Northwest heat wave, but man, it's going to be a hot one, and it's dangerous heat for places that in some cases don't have full air conditioning because they're not accustomed to this level of heat.
Right, really punishing conditions. David Parkinson for us. David, thank you very much.
Sure thing.